Well, welcome to episode 798 of the Sharvette Mitchell Radio Show. We are super excited to have you here with us because we'll be talking to Sierra Morgan. She is an HR executive. She is a caregiver advocate, a virtual assistant hiring expert, and founder of Rose HR. And guess what? Our topic today is amazing, in particular if you are a business owner, small business owner, because we're going to be talking about the smart way to hire a virtual assistant and reclaim your time. You're listening to the Sharvette Mitchell Radio Show. We'll get started right after this quick intro. Don't you move.
Whoa. Why y'all so happy?
You don't know? Sharvette Mitchell is on the radio.
It's time to get motivated, excited, and influenced. Why? It's the Sharvette Mitchell Radio Show, live from Richmond, Virginia. And now, here to motivate, excite, and influence you, Sharvette Mitchell.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to the Sharvette Mitchell Radio Show. We're getting ready to get started here, and I'm so excited to have all of those that are tuning in from all across the World Wide Web. Listen, we are live and hot on the mic in a few places in Facebook, so hey there. Certainly YouTube, we appreciate you always. Instagram, Instagram, we're glad to have you. You all know, y'all know how to hang out with us over there on Instagram. And if you're listening to this in our podcast, thank you so much. Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Oh, and Amazon Music. Thank you for being here because this topic here on episode 798 is really good and juicy. The smart way to hire a virtual assistant and reclaim your time. I know some of you like, I want my time back. Shout out over on YouTube. Hello, Roberto and Marilyn hanging out there. Listen, got to give a shout out to my mom. Hey, mom. Hey, girl. Hey, hanging out with us. So the sponsor for this show is our 9th book collaboration, O to the M to the G. If you have been anywhere on the interwebs with us, permission granted is our 9th book collaboration. We are in pre-orders. We're in pre-orders right now. What that means, you'll be at the top of the pile. You'll be at the top of the list when we get our books in May. So go ahead and place your pre-order. You'll see there on Sharvette.com. If you're hanging out listening there or listening live or listening later, it is linked on every page over to the right on the home page. Also, if you're listening, I got it right. We got the QR code here. So if you're watching from your TV, I got it. If you're watching from your TV over in YouTube, you can go ahead and check it out there. Otherwise, look down below in the show notes. All right, in the show notes. So let's go ahead and jump right on in, and let me bring my guest up to the mic here again. Sierra Morgan is with us, and she is an HR executive, the founder of Rose HR, where she helps small businesses hire and manage virtual assistants the right way. With 17 years of HR leadership experience, she specializes in helping entrepreneurs build smart hiring strategies, stay compliant, and scale sustainably. Sierra is also the host of the Bottom Line podcast, and she is Miss Maryland Corporate America 2025. You saw that lovely picture on all of our promotions. Put your hands together. Coming to the stage, coming to the mic right now. Sierra, welcome. How are you?
I'm doing good. How about yourself? Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Yes, I am doing well. We are excited to chat with you because this topic certainly is one of those topics that people feel kind of like scared about, like, okay, I want to, so I'm hoping and I'm thinking that this is going to definitely give people some insight and maybe snatch some of the fear away as we're talking about bringing on team and building your team. But certainly before we jump in there, I list a lot of things, and certainly you have a deep expertise in HR. Like, how did all of that get started? How did you even fall into the HR space?
Well, a long time ago, I started out doing payroll by hand, which is not trying to, but okay. But I just, starting there, and I just fell in love with helping people. So it was just another way. And that's just how I was raised, to help people, whether it's to help get them jobs or help them sustain those jobs. And then also just being able to grow my people. I've had a lot of people along my journey in HR that I've mentored that are now, HR directors or HR managers. And it's so nice to just kind of see where they started and see them still fulfilling their goals. I just love it. I mean, yes, the money is great, but I really do it for the people. I just, again, love making that impact and change. And one of my favorite things to do is to make that offer and just realize that you're changing someone's life in a matter of seconds for the better. It really does settle home for me.
Awesome. And so then the space of the small business owner, we're going to jump into that. And so many small business owners wait too long maybe to hire. And so from an HR perspective, what are early signs that a business owner is ready for a virtual assistant?
Definitely. I think that right now we're in the realm where everybody wants to own their business. We all have so many talents. But yet at the same time, we're in that mindset of, if it's going to get done right, then we have to do it ourselves. But it's at the cost of ourselves that we could get burnt out, drained. We have no creative juices flowing. Our business becomes stagnant. And when you're doing it all alone, it no longer, to me, in my opinion, becomes a business. It's more so just a job. And that was the whole purpose of starting your business, is that it will, hit, and that you can leave that 9-to-5 routine job and be able to do something that you love, and grow that business. In fact, that it's not a hobby, excuse me. So I would say burnout, when you realize that you're becoming stagnant, and when you realize that, I think I want to hire somebody, but or I don't have those social media skills, but I don't have a brick and mortar. Then let's hire you a virtual assistant that can do it all. Basically be an extension of you. So I have two hands and they are my other hands.
Yes. Well said. And some small businesses think, and maybe I'll even say entrepreneurs, solo kind of shopping, they're if they feel too small, is there a too small to hire?
No, not at all. And, I specialize with small to medium-sized businesses, but just even myself, it's just myself and my business, and then my virtual assistants. And although I started it on my own and, laid the foundation out and how I wanted things to go and created that structure, I realized that to sustain and do all the things that I need to do, caregiving and all these other things, I have to have, again, that extension of me. So to answer your question, no business too small, no business too big. We talk to businesses all the time when we go to call for a call center, and we're always getting somebody from another country. And, there's a lot of misconceptions, but hopefully we clear them up today.
Yes. Okay. And so you spent 17 years certainly in HR leadership. What are the biggest mistakes that entrepreneurs make when hiring a VA?
I would say, they wanted just to have another person help out, but they don't really define what they want that person to do. And then all it can do is lead to frustration, because the VAs, they can't read their mind. And I've had some people that are like, well, you don't know what I want. You don't know how I want it.
Right.
So, and that's why it's so important for me to do an intake with my clients, because I want to know about your business. I want to know your pain points and what exactly do you envision that person doing? Because yes, we could tell them to do just basic things, but they also have the ability to do more with that. So basically defining the structure, just like we would for any other employee, having a job description and having all those, if it's performance metrics, like what do you want them to do within their first 30 days or their first 90 days, again, to help you grow. So that way in 30 days, they should know X, Y, and Z, and you should be taking that X, Y, and Z off your plate so you can focus on something else.
Good. And then there's certainly the question and the thought around, how can they avoid compliance costs, certainly, and even performance issues from the start. So any thoughts around that?
Yep. Again, setting the standard, because we can tell somebody, hey, I want you to clear this inbox. But if we don't tell them how we expect things to go, like how we want things for our business, because these VAs have worked for multiple businesses before, and not everybody runs their business the same. Not everybody has the right expectations. So it really starts from the beginning with laying those things out and keeping that open dialogue and communication. So when things are not right, I find that some people are afraid, whether it's the VA or the afraid to have that communication. And I just had this conversation with the client today, and she was telling me, she was like, the VA is great. She was like, but I know she made a couple of grammatical errors. And I said, just have a conversation with her. I said, those things are fixable, but you have to let her know, like, hey, this is the standard. We expect high attention to detail with our clients because they look at that from us, and whatever the case is. So just, I don't want to say be blunt or be rude, but it's your business, it's your baby. So you have to let them know so they can take a genuine interest, just like you, of how to make it great.
Great. Well said. And if you're just tuning on in, welcome, welcome, welcome. We are chatting with Sierra Morgan, HR executive, founder of Rose HR. And I know right now there are people saying, okay, how can I connect with her? How can I find out more? Where would you direct them?
So I'm on IG for the Rose HR at Rose HR LLC, or you can go to rosehr.org. You can book a free consultation. It's 15 minutes. And again, we basically define the role. What do you want? What do you need? What are those pain points? How can a VA help you? So let me be that problem solver for you. And once we go through that process, then we basically will vet through our database or vet through our resumes and put in front of you 3 to 5 people for you to interview. And then you figure out from those 3 to 5 folks who matches well with you. And then we do provide a 90-day guarantee as well. And you can always have access to me, even if it's from a year from now, if you have any questions or need any further assistance as well.
Oh, and you've just made, like with Rose HR, like you've just made it simple, because the first problem and the first thing that I always hear is, where do I find VAs? Like where I don't even know where to go. Who did you use? How did you find them? And so, with Rose HR, since you all specialize in helping small businesses, just as you described, that really kind of like helps people go like, oh, okay, I'm good. And so what would you say is a simple or effective hiring process, for bringing on the first VA? If it's like this person's very first time bringing on support, what does a simple, effective hiring process look like?
Gotcha. About 95% of my clients had never, even before they heard of Rose HR, had never heard of a virtual assistant, never knew anything about it, didn't know, where to go. So we come up and partner with you for an onboarding plan. Okay. And so usually I'm on half of that call, but usually it starts off with, we have everybody sign an NDA, because I know that's the biggest, issue with people just wanting to trust somebody that they can't touch, that's not in the office or looking right at them or anything like that. So we do have an NDA. We do go, follow all the legal proceedings for that country as well as ours. But we do, like I say, just like HR, when I'm an HR director, you have to set your people up for success. And what that means is giving them access to the certain things that they need, having them start with routine tasks, such as like checking email, calendar management, maybe social media posts or content creation. And then once that goes well for like maybe a week or so and everybody's getting comfortable, then start adding on every week an additional task that you want. But usually a lot of my virtual assistants are executive or general assistants.
Okay, great. So a couple different ways that people can go with that. And so now, Sierra, here's where people struggle: delegation. Like a lot of entrepreneurs are like, wait, I gotta give this up. And so, and you just kind of talked about some of, the tasks, but in general that they should kind of hand off. But how can they set like clear expectations, so that the VA succeeds, and then also ultimately the business is succeeding?
Right. And so I do check-in. So every week I do a check-in 1 to 2 times, I would say, with my assistant, but I have them G-chat me throughout the day. I make the environment comfortable where they are okay with asking me any questions. I always say, if I give you a direction that you can't figure out, after you've sat with it for a little bit and you've researched, then reach out. Don't waste time and just trying to, spin your wheels. Come to me, we have that rapport. But then also, from there, then doing those weekly check-ins, going over things to make sure we get things approved. If there's something that needs to be fixed that didn't go the way you expected it to, bring that up, so that way they understand, well, what can I do better? Because that's what they're always trying to do. I don't want to say, nobody's perfect, right? So again, they have to understand the language of your business. I had one client who had a VA outside of my company prior that she wanted to replace. And she said that person had been working with them for 18 months at 40 hours a week and knew nothing about what their business entailed.
Whoa.
So, again, orientation, setting them up for success, tell them what your business is. Tell them what you do and why you do it. Let them understand the impact. Of course, they're not going to have the same type of interest in the business as you. I mean, obviously, as a small business owner, we're starting it from the ground up. We have a genuine interest in it, right, to make sure that it succeeds. But they understand, my VAs, that when the business succeeds, that means that they succeed. And that comes in the form of maybe a full-time opportunity, going from part-time to full-time, or additional pay and things like that, or bonuses. So they understand wanting to achieve those goals and what it takes to get there.
All right. So once again, if an entrepreneur or small business is listening and they're like, I need that kind of support, how should they reach out and connect with you?
Yep. Go to www.rosehr.org. Or you can hit me up on IG at RoseHR LLC. And we have openings as soon as tomorrow. We can get you all in. That's not a problem. In our process, we staff a client with a VA within 1 to 2 weeks, just depending on your schedule to interview.
And so certainly, so for the person that's like, oh, good, I'm ready to have somebody start tomorrow. We want to just remind people, like, you need to have a few ducks in the row. Like, what is it that you want them to do? SOP, standard operating procedures. That's a whole nother show. But you do need to be able to tell people what to do. So, but outside of and in addition to Rose HR, you also host your own podcast. So, like, I love the little podcast that we got going on.
But yes, I have my own podcast. We're in year 3. The bottom line is, and I actually started at the same time as Rose HR. So they are together. And again, it's another forum for me to help other people by having guests on there that are sharing their stories. But it's just real women having real conversations. I used to always tell my friends I wanted to be like the Real Housewives before they came out. I used to say, follow us around with the camera so we can see how we actually live and all the things that we go and let people know that it is achievable. And, sometimes we all have imposter syndrome. We take our situations for granted or don't know how to get through our situation. So my podcast talks anything about relationships, dating, marriage, a little bit about caregiving, finances, your career, just all of the things that you would talk with one of your homegirls at a happy hour, I always say. Especially if you haven't seen each other in a while. You're like, oh, girl, let's catch up.
Yeah.
And there
that's what the feeling vibe. Okay, I love that. And we also mentioned that you are Miss Maryland Corporate America 2025. So tell us the story and the deets behind that.
Yes. So Miss Corporate America has been around for 18 years. But last year, 2025, was the first time that they did it on the state level. So I am, although I've now crowned 2026, I'm still the first Miss Maryland Corporate America. And then I went on to compete at nationals last year. But Miss Corporate America provides an outlet for entrepreneurs and women within the community to be able to have a platform to amplify their voices. And that's something that attracted me to their mission, because I have so many causes and need assistance with trying to get my mission out there, which my mission, my platform during the pageant was caregiver advocacy, because I've been a caregiver for 16 years.
Wow. So certainly prayers and hugs and love to you and all the caregivers that, are watching and listening. And so I would assume even a virtual assistant could even be helpful for someone that's caregiving in particular.
Yes. And so, when I first started, before I even started Rose HR, I was using virtual assistants, and I started out just using them as a personal assistant, because I needed somebody to help manage me.
You over here.
I'm all over. I'm always wearing all these hats, and I needed them to be able to help me with like my grandmother's aides, like making sure the schedules are out, checking her into appointments, just basic things. And then I started using them at work, in my 9 to 5, and then I started thinking more people probably need this, and then and that's where Rose HR was born. And then I'm also actually starting my Caregiver Compass Academy, which I'm hoping to launch next month. And so that's going to actually help family caregivers that are just thrown into the wind, because that's how it all happens for us, how to kind of navigate that process, because there's so many things being thrown at you all at once. So to put it in perspective, I have a personal / executive assistant that handles the caregiving website, my podcast, and my personal affairs and travel. And then I have another virtual assistant that handles Rose HR.
Wow. And so that's how you're able to, if there is a thing of balance, having kind of these multiple roles. And what I like about that too is that you are an example of how you are able to help other people, is because you're leveraging, virtual assistants. And so there might be people that pique their interest of like, hey, I didn't think about a virtual assistant as a personal even assistant. And so I know our time is wrapping up, but hey girl, hey, over on Deborah on YouTube, we see you. What are some of the things that people maybe are surprised by, that like, hey, you could have a virtual assistant support you with XYZ? I think people social, I think they get email, inbox. I think people get making calls. I think people get any other couple of things that you might say that people haven't thought about that they can leverage.
Yeah. So, and I actually forgot to mention, I'm in the process of putting out 2 books. So I have another virtual assistant that handles that part, and it's a project. So you can have a long-term assistant, or if you just need someone with a project that you're trying to work on. So, but they can handle project management, website development, just video editing, or a social media editing, or a social media manager. They can do the commenting, like for, Instagram or Facebook, if you have a active social media. So all of those things and more, like you name it, they've done it. They've worked in so many different website domains. So like GoDaddy, Go High Level is really hot right now.
Yes, I have a couple clients using that.
Yeah. So, and I learned about Go High Level from a client that was telling me that she wanted me to hire her a Go High Level expert. And she loves that person. I guess they're 3 weeks in now. And so, touched base with her last week, and that's working great for her. And so my assistant is actually going to be transitioning my site from GoDaddy to Go High Level. Wow. So yeah, it's all of those different things, like just things that you do on a routine basis is something that you can delegate to a virtual assistant. So that way you have that time to be in front of people, to network, to be where you have to use your voice and your image to be in front of a person to make a deal happen. You now have more time to do that and are not bogged down by all of these activities, such as like email, admin work, and all these things. Because especially with social media is now how a lot of businesses are growing. And social media is not the easiest thing to get on.
As a marketing consultant, like it is intentionality. It takes energy. It takes time. I just put my platform builder clients through like a 7-day social media challenge. And like by the end, we was all tired, but it was a challenge, like, to help you see some data from your marketing. But yeah, it is definitely something that, like, if that's a space that people are lacking, it's a space that a virtual assistant could definitely jump in and with, some strategy and some guidance, really help change the needle for you. So the final question we have, the goal of the show is to motivate, excite, and influence. And we want to know what continues to motivate Sierra Morgan.
What motivates me is just, again, I'll say for HR, when I have that employee that I'll have a rough day and that employee just comes over to my office, because I always have an open door policy, and they come over and they talk about how much of an impact I made for them. Like I got a text message a few weeks ago, and they said to me, "Thank you for always making me feel seen and heard." And that's something that I've always had employees say, because employees have always said when I started a place that they felt like a number. Yeah. And I've always made it my mission to be very inclusive and always include everyone and put employees first, because we couldn't have a business without the employees.
Right.
So that, those little things motivate me. And again, hearing from a client as it relates to Rose HR, that just is like, wow, like I feel so much better. I'm not so stressed. I'm not running around like a chicken with my head cut off because,
Right.
I now have somebody that I am building with and I can trust. So it's just when I hear that, or even with caregiving, just, I just helped out one of my friends and her mom was just like, oh, I need to put you on the payroll. Like, I'm so happy that you came by. Like, can I call you later?
Right.
It makes me feel good just to help people out, just to make a difference. So that's really when I'm tired and, burned out. As soon as I hear something like that, it just motivates me to just keep going because there's a purpose.
All right. Well, we certainly wish you much more continued success. I'll check out your podcast as well. And thank you so much for stopping by and just dropping some gems. And I know that, again, the goal of the show is to motivate, excite, and influence. I know this will help motivate some people that are watching, saying, okay, it's not too scary. I can step out and at least start with my first virtual assistant. So
yes, no time like the present.
Jump on in. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. I am telling you what, viewers, listeners, if you came in halfway, you were like, wait, I want to hear all of it. Sharvette.com is the best place to go to. Number one, see blog posts for our guests, clickable links to Linktree and a bunch of other things. So Sharvette.com has a full blog post for our guests. You can also listen and watch the show from there. Make sure you subscribe if you are checking us out on YouTube. Make sure you go ahead and subscribe to our channel because we know you like this content, right? So we want to keep this content in front of you. And again, as a reminder, the sponsor for this show is our 9th book collaboration. So I joined forces with 10 of our clients in the Platform Builder program and other clients, and we wrote a book together. And this is my 9th collaboration, y'all. Yeah. Permission granted. So if you've been waiting for a permission slip, here it is. And so you can look in the show notes, or if you're on Sharvette.com, it's on. If you're on a desktop, it's over to the right. If you're on mobile, just scroll below Sierra's blog post, and you'll see a clickable link there to pre-order your book. And I'll say this, which we haven't done really a lot in the past, but my 10th book collaboration, because this is number 9, so 10 comes after 9. My 10th book collaboration is going to be coming like the end of the year. And if you're saying, hey, I would like to be an author, a co-author, and maybe I don't want to have the heavy lift of writing the full book, I have an opportunity that you could get in on our 10th book collaboration. So there's contact information on Sharvette.com. Reach out. You can either inbox or direct message. We'll send you a link to schedule a meet and greet call and have a chat. All right. It's been a blast. Again, thank you for all of those that check us every week, and we'll be back next week. Bye.
Live from Richmond, Virginia, you've been listening to the Sharvette Mitchell Radio Show. Catch Sharvette Mitchell every Tuesday at 6 p.m., interviewing all the stars you want to hear from. So until next week, stay motivated, excited, and influenced. This is the Sharvette Mitchell Radio Show.